The chamber of the Galactic Council was never silent. Even in recess, it pulsed with layered voices, hissing, trilling, clicking, murmuring in tones alien and strange. The hall itself seemed alive, a cathedral of transparent alloys, glowing veins of energy running along its vaulted arches, suspended in orbit above the pale green world of Valor. From every tiered platform, delegates 100 civilizations leaned forward as the session resumed. At the center, beneath a dome of shifting holographic stars, High Chancellor Varix of the Cthar Dominion rose from his dais. His scaled skin caught the chamber's light, polished armor gleaming, posture radiating control. His forked tongue flicked as his voice carried through amplifiers, translated instantly into 1,000 dialects. "Esteemed delegates," he began, voice smooth yet edged with venom. "We gather today not for routine governance, but to confront a danger. A species has refused this council's directive. A young, untested people who mistake defiance for sovereignty." His yellow eyes narrowed. "The humans?" The word rippled through the chamber like a spark across dry grass. Some delegates scoffed. Others exchanged wary glances. Humanity, barely a century in interstellar space, was hardly a power. Their homeworld, Earth, lay on the fringes, considered a curiosity more than a threat. Yet the Chancellor's tone carried weight, and in this chamber, weight became reality. Counselor Dreth of the Selix Confederacy, a spindly being of translucent limbs, leaned into his microphone. "Surely this is exaggerated. The human world is provincial. Their fleet's a collection of outdated hulls. Why summon us for such trivial resistance?" Varix's expression sharpened. Trivial. He activated control on his podium. Holographic displays bloomed above, casting light across the chamber. Images of human warships in dockyards, schematics intercepted by Dominion scouts, fragments of military chatter. The ships looked crude compared to Council vessels, their lines angular, armored, designed for brute endurance rather than elegance. Yet there was something unsettling about their density, their silent promise of purpose. They refused disarmament, Varix declared. They refuse oversight. They gather weapons in secret and speak of independence as though it were their birthright. If left unchecked, they will destabilize the balance we have maintained for millennia. A chorus of disapproval erupted. Some voices mocked Earth as reckless children. Others muttered more darkly, recalling how fast humans had adapted to spaceflight, how quickly they spread across their system. Whispers of unease threaded through arrogance. On the lowest platform, the human delegation sat motionless. 3 figures in plain dark suits amid the color and regalia of alien envoys. At their center stood Ambassador Kaido-chan, tall, composed, his expression carved into calm resolve. When the chamber grew still, he raised his voice. "Honorable Council," he began, words measured, resonating to translators, "Earth acknowledges your concerns, but we reject the charge of recklessness. We are not gathering weapons to conquer. We are gathering them to survive." A wave of derisive laughter swept across the tiers. Counselor Valash of the Lyric Union tilted his angular head. "Survive? Against whom? Your system is remote, unthreatened. What predator lurks in your skies that justifies such excess?" Chun met the alien's gaze without flinching. History itself. He folded his hands behind his back. "We have lived through plagues, wars, disasters of our own making. We survived because we learned not to rely on others for protection. That principle remains unchanged." The chamber buzzed with voices, some dismissive, some disturbed. Varix struck the floor with a clawed fist, silencing the tumult. "Fine words, Ambassador, but meaningless. This council has decreed that no species may arm itself beyond defense. Earth's fleet exceeds those limits by magnitudes. Submit, or the council will enforce compliance." For the first time, Chen's calm cracked into steel. "With respect, Chancellor, Earth will not bow." The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush breath. Across the tiers, alien eyes and sensors fixed on the human delegation with renewed intensity. Defiance was rare in this chamber. Survival often depended on deference. Varix's slit pupils contracted to pinpoints. "Careful, Ambassador. Speak for your planet with humility, or you may speak your people into ruin." Before Chin could reply, another voice spoke from behind him. Clear, steady, unmistakably human, yet carrying a command presence that made even the translators pause before relaying it. That, Chancellor, will not happen on my watch. Heads turned as Admiral Helena Stroud stepped into view. Until that moment, few had realized she had entered the chamber. She wore the dark uniform of Earth's Unified Defense Command, rank insignia gleaming against the fabric. Her boots struck the polished floor with measured rhythm as she walked to Chen's side. Her hair was bound tight, her expression carved from stone, her gaze unwavering as she met Varrix's eyes across the chamber. A murmur surged like a wave. Military officers did not address the council directly. That was the role of diplomats. But Stroud carried herself as if the protocol had never applied to her. Varrix's lip curled, exposing fangs. And you are Admiral Helena Stroud, Supreme Commander of Earth's fleet. Her tone was clipped, precise. I speak because my people entrusted me to guard their future, and I will not see that future negotiated away. Gasps and exclamations rippled through the tiers. A military leader representing her world in defiance of the council. Unprecedented. Varrix laughed, though the sound held no humor. So this is how humans present themselves? Soldiers masquerading as statesmen? It explains much. Stroud's expression did not flicker. If you believe Earth will yield its security because of insult or mockery, you mistake us. We have buried too many under foreign flags to abandon our own. A hush settled over the chamber. Even those who despise humanity leaned forward, drawn by the iron in her voice. She spoke without ornament, without the elaborate cadence most delegates prized. Yet her words cut through ceremony with the efficiency of a blade. Varrix's talons drummed against his podium. Then, perhaps, Admiral, you should tell this council. What does Earth intend? War. Stroud held his gaze. Peace, if permitted. War, if forced. But never submission. The chamber erupted, voices clashing. Outrage, disbelief, a few murmurs of admiration. For the first time in centuries, the council convulsed with something it had forgotten. Fear. Stroud let the uproar wash around her, calm and immovable at the chamber's heart. At her side, Chin remained silent, letting the Admiral's presence carry the weight of Earth's defiance. Above them, the holographic stars shifted, casting cold light across the assembly. In that light, humanity stood revealed, not as supplicants, but as challengers. The chapter closed not with resolution, but with a single truth reverberating in every alien mind. Earth had no intention of kneeling. The silence after Admiral Stroud's declaration pressed heavy on the chamber. No delegate spoke, as though the air itself was waiting. The council was used to speeches crafted like woven tapestries, designed to soothe, deceive, or delay. Stroud's words had no polish, only weight. High Chancellor Varrix leaned forward, claws tapping the edge of his podium. His voice cut like ice. Admiral Stroud, do you believe this council convened to listen to the bluster of a soldier? Your very presence here insults our order. Stroud's boots echoed softly as she stepped into the central circle, the space reserved for orators. She moved with the quiet control of someone who had stood on bridge decks during crises and knew how to keep calm when the universe tried to tear itself apart. She looked neither left nor right, her gaze fixed solely on Varrix. You mistake my presence, she said evenly. It is not to insult, but to clarify. The council asks what Earth intends. I am the one who carries that answer. From a balcony above, a delegate of a Dvor collective clicked his mandibles. What hubris! A military commander dictating policy. Does your government have no civilians capable of diplomacy? Ambassador Chin finally spoke again, his voice steady but firm. Earth's delegation is united. The Admiral does not override our voice. She embodies it. On our world, defense is not separate from survival. To speak of one is to speak of the other. The answer unsettled many. Across the tiers, aliens exchanged sharp whispers. Civilizations that had known peace for millennia found the notion of military and diplomacy intertwined unnerving, even barbaric. Varrix seized on it. You prove our point. Humans cannot separate blade from tongue. You are creatures of violence wearing the mask of civility. That mask, however, is transparent to us. Stroud's lips tightened, but she did not rise to the insult. Instead, she drew herself straighter, her voice carrying without strain. If you wish to strip away masks, Chancellor, let us do so. The Cthar Dominion, your dominion, rose from conquest. Entire sectors were absorbed by your fleets before this council was formed. Yet here you sit, sanctified by time, preaching restraint. Gasps echoed across the chamber. To accuse the Chancellor openly was almost unthinkable. Yet Stroud pressed forward, her tone unwavering. Earth has no dominion, no empire, no colonies seized through bloodshed. Our weapons exist for one reason, to ensure no other flag flies above our own. You call us violent, yet it was violence that built your thrones. Varrix's scale brow furrowed, but before he could speak, Council Valash of the Lyric Union intervened, his voice smooth. Admiral Stroud, do you deny your world's history? Your records are not hidden. Wars without end, nations consuming one another, weapons of planetary ruin detonated on your very soil. What other race has done so much harm to itself? Stroud turned slightly, facing the Lyric delegate. Her voice was quieter now, but every word carried. Yes, we fought. Yes, we scarred our world. But through every war we adapted. Through every disaster we endured. Tell me, how many times has your union faced extinction? How many times has your people clawed survival from their own mistakes? We learned resilience the hard way. You inherited peace as a gift, which is a truer strength. The question hung in the chamber like a weight none could lift. Delegates shifted uncomfortably. Some looked thoughtful. Others glared as if her words cut too close. Varrix, unwilling to yield a moment, slammed a clawed hand on his podium. Enough. This council is not here to admire human suffering. We are here to enforce order. And order requires compliance. Earth will dismantle its fleet, or it will be dismantled for them. The hall erupted. Some species shouted support, voices sharp and eager for enforcement. Others murmured dissent, shaken by Stroud's poise. The chamber had split, not cleanly, but along fault lines no one had seen before. Stroud did not flinch under the storm. She waited until the noise fell again, then spoke with deliberate calm. We are not asking permission. Earth will defend itself, as it always has. What you mistake for arrogance is necessity. We are not children playing at war. We are a people who learn survival one hard lesson at a time. From the gallery, a thin, feathered representative of the Vena, Accord leaned forward. Then what do you want from us, human? Recognition? Respect? Or fear? Stroud's eyes swept the chamber, meeting no one gaze longer than a heartbeat. Peace, she said at last. We want peace, but peace without chains. Peace earned, not given as a favor. If that is too much for this council, then understand, Earth is prepared for every outcome. Her words fell like iron, quiet yet unshakable. For a moment, the chamber was silent again. Then Varrix hissed. You prepare for outcomes you cannot imagine. The combined might of this council could erase your world in a day. Stroud's reply was steady, each syllable deliberate. Perhaps, but the cost would be written in fire across your skies. Do not mistake caution for weakness, Chancellor. Do not mistake patience for fear. The statement rippled through the chamber like a shockwave. Delegates leaned toward one another, whispers escalating. Some recoiled in horror, others in admiration. The humans had crossed a line, open defiance in the heart of the council. Yet they did not tremble. Ambassador Chen touched the control on his console, sending encrypted signals across the void. The action was subtle, almost invisible. Few noticed. But Stroud did not miss the slight nod he gave her afterward. Their preparations were in motion. Varrix straightened, eyes burning with anger. Then let us see what Earth hides behind its bravado. Words are wind. Show us your strength, if you dare. Stroud inclined her head once, her voice calm, almost gentle. Very well. The chamber stilled as her words echoed. Somewhere far beyond the transparent dome, the void stirred. Humanity's answer would come not in rhetoric, but in steel. The council chamber emptied in uneasy waves. Delegates filed out with hushed voices. some casting wary glances toward the humans. Their words lingered in the air like smoke, questions, doubts, and a faint threat of fear. Admiral Stroud walked at an even pace beside Ambassador Chun, their escorts a silent wall of discipline. No one stopped them. Few dared to. The council guards kept their distance, unsure if intervention would ignite the very confrontation they wanted to avoid. When the humans reached their private docking corridor, Chun finally exhaled. His hand tightened on the strap of his satchel. You escalated too far. Do you realize what you've just done? Stroud didn't break stride. I gave them the truth. No more, no less. They were never going to welcome us. They were waiting for weakness. I gave them none. Chin stopped, forcing her to turn back. His voice dropped to a near whisper. Strength can look like provocation. We cannot afford the council uniting against us before the fleet is ready. Her expression softened slightly. Ambassador, you've spent years convincing them of humanity's intentions. Tell me, have you swayed them? Even one? Or have they only ever smiled and sharpened knives behind their backs? Chun faltered, then sighed. Diplomacy takes time. Time we may not have, Stroud said. The air between them hung heavy, filled with unspoken truths neither wanted to admit. Finally, Chun nodded toward the shuttle ahead. Then show them, but pray to every star that what you reveal doesn't become the match that lights the galaxy. The shuttle detached from the council station, its engines humming softly as it drifted into the dark. Through the viewport, the alien city in orbit glittered, a forest of spires and rings suspended against the void. But further out, past the civilian lanes and guard patrols, space itself seemed to stir. The fleet had been waiting. Stroud keyed in a secure command. One by one, ships emerged from stealth. First as faint outlines, then as massive silhouettes swallowing starlight. Hulls of dark alloy glistened as they caught the glare of distant suns. Sleek destroyers, carrier platforms bristling with launch bays, cruisers with armored flanks, all arranged in a formation precise enough to make the void itself look ordered. Even Chun, who had been briefed on their numbers, found his throat tightening. He whispered as if afraid the stars themselves might overhear. 76 capital ships, dozens more escorts. Stroud, this is not defense. This is a declaration. Stroud's gaze stayed on the fleet, eyes reflecting the glow of human war steel. This is survival. Every ship represents a lesson learned. Every hull is a promise that Earth will not be erased. The comm crackled. A voice filled the cabin. Calm, professional, tinged with excitement. Flagship Vigilant hailing. Admiral Stroud, the fleet stands ready. Orders. Chin closed his eyes briefly. This will change everything. Stroud tapped the console. Signal the fleet. Stand by. No weapons powered. Formation defensive. Our message isn't that we can strike. It's that we can't be struck down. The order spread like ripples through the void. Energy signatures remained dormant, weapons silent. Yet the visual presence alone was enough to echo through every sensor in orbit. No delegate leaving the council chamber could miss the silhouette of Earth's fleet unfurling against the stars. Inside the flagship Vigilant, Stroud convened her command staff. The briefing room was stark, all brushed metal and tactical holo displays. Officers lined the table, eyes sharp, uniforms immaculate. These were not men and women of theory. They were the hardened products of a century of clandestine preparation. Captain Ortega leaned forward, eyes flicking between holographic schematics. Council patrols are already repositioning. Their scouts will probe within the hour. Sooner if Varix has his way. Stroud nodded. Let them probe. We want them to see discipline, not aggression. Commander Lien frowned. And if they mistake restraint for weakness? They won't, Stroud said flatly. Every hull out there casts a shadow long enough to make them think twice. They'll know. The holos shifted, displaying sectors of council-controlled space. Red markers pulsed where intelligence suggested Dominion fleets lurked. Chen entered late, dropping into a seat with visible weariness. His voice carried the tone of someone who would argue with ghosts. Some delegates might lean in our favor after today. The Vena Accord, perhaps the Lyric Union. But Varix is already painting us as aggressors. If we give him a single excuse, just one, the council could vote for intervention. Stroud met his gaze. Then we give him nothing. No hostile moves. No first strikes. Earth stands as iron, immovable, unbroken. If war comes, it will not be because of our hands. The room fell into brief silence, broken only by the low hum of the ship systems. Every officer understood the stakes. Humanity's fleet could shatter worlds, but the wrong choice of timing could shatter humanity itself. Finally, Ortega leaned back, voice low. We prepared for decades, but are we ready for this kind of war? Stroud's reply was quiet, almost personal. Readiness is an illusion, but survival, that we know. Hours later, as the fleet held its silent vigil, the first council patrol arrived. Sleek alien frigates, their hulls carved in elegant curves, approached in cautious formation. Their scanners reached out like curious fingers, touching the outlines of human ships. On the bridge of the Vigilant, tension rippled through the crew. Fingers hovered over controls, eyes locked on displays. One wrong move, one panic reaction, and the void would burn. Maintain position, Stroud ordered. Her voice carried a calm that steadied every hand. Transmit no hostile signals. Power signatures steady. We let them look. The alien ships circled like predators uncertain of their prey. They measured mass, hull composition, energy reserves. Each reading told a story. These were not fragile vessels slapped together in desperation. These were war machines built with intent. When the council frigates finally withdrew, silence held the bridge for several breaths. Only then did Chin whisper, "Now they know, and now they must choose." Stroud watched the frigates vanish into the dark. Her hand rested lightly on the arm of her command chair. They will choose, yes, but not on facts alone. Varix will twist what he's seen. Others will hesitate. The council is not about truth. It's about fear and who controls it. She looked out into the void, where her fleet held formation like steel stars. We will not control their fear. We will endure it. That is the difference between Earth and every empire before us. In the darkness beyond, messages sped through hyperspace relays, carrying images of Earth's fleet to every corner of the galaxy. Some saw a menace. Others saw a shield. For the first time, the Council faced a power that did not beg entry, but demanded acknowledgement. The question now was whether the galaxy would answer with respect or with war. The Council chamber felt colder than usual. Rows of luminous banners projected the emblems of dozens of worlds, their shifting colors casting fractured light across the marble-like floor. Delegates filed into their seats with clipped movements, eyes darting to one another, avoiding the human delegation altogether. At the center, High Speaker Corin struck the crystal staff against the dais. The sound rang sharp, silencing the hum of voices. The matter of the Terran fleet stands before us. Evidence has been presented. Each of you must weigh its meaning. A ripple of unease swept through the assembly. Every faction had seen the same images. Ships materializing in disciplined formation, hulls black as obsidian, lines of human engineering cutting stark against the stars. Counselor Varix rose first, his scaled form bristling with theatrical indignation. His voice carried easily across the chamber, polished and sharp. 76 capital warships, armed and hidden until the very hour of their arrival. You call this diplomacy? These humans sit among us cloaked in deceit, wielding a blade behind their backs. Murmurs followed, some approving, some doubtful. Ambassador Chin stood slowly, adjusting his translation collar. His tone was firm but not raised. Deceit? No. We did not lie. We survived. While the Council debated for centuries, Earth endured invasions, hunger, ruin. My people built their defense in the shadows, not to conquer, but to live. Varix's eyes narrowed. A fleet like that is not built for survival. It is built for domination. Chin met his gaze steadily. And yet, here we stand. No weapons fired. No threats made. Only proof that we cannot be erased with the wave of a hand. The chamber shifted, voices rising again, this time divided. Some alien delegates exchanged guarded nods, while others recoiled as if Chen's words confirmed their fears. High Speaker Corin raised a hand. The question is not only what the humans have built, but what they intend. Intention weighs heavier than steel. In the private observation tier above, Admiral Stroud watched the debate unfold. Her hands were folded behind her back, posture rigid but controlled. Commander Ortega leaned closer, speaking in a low tone. They're circling the argument like carrion birds. Some see opportunity, some danger. If Varix gains momentum, they'll brand us aggressors before a shot is fired. Stroud didn't look away from the chamber. Fear is his weapon. He wants to turn uncertainty into condemnation. But fear could divide as well as unite. Below, Counselor Zara of the Lyric Union rose. Her voice flowed like water, calm and deliberate. The humans reveal their fleet, yet no hostile action accompanies it. If their intent were conquest, they would not sit in these chambers. They would already be at our throats. I say their restraint speaks louder than their ships. A stir passed through the chamber. Some delegates murmured approval, though others hissed their discontent. Varix slammed his clawed hand against the railing. You are fools if you think restraint today means peace tomorrow. A serpent coils before it strikes. We must act now, unite our fleets, dismantle this Terran threat before it metastasizes. The word metastasizes drew a subtle recoil from some of the delegates, an overt call for preemptive war. Chun pressed forward. His voice carried urgency, but not desperation. If the Council chooses war, remember, it will be war of your choosing, not ours. We came to stand beside you against the Dominion. Strike us down, and you strike down the only force prepared to resist them. The chamber buzzed louder, voices clashing, alliances shifting like tectonic plates. In a quiet alcove behind the Grand Hall, two lesser-known delegates whispered urgently. Councilor Thalen of the Vena Accord leaned toward her counterpart from the Free Saurian states. Varix pushes too hard. Preemptive war risks everything. My Accord will not vote for open conflict. Not yet. The Saurian delegate nodded grimly. The humans are a danger, yes, but also a balance. If we cast them out, we strengthen Varix's hand more than theirs. They both glanced toward the human section, where Chin sat composed despite the storm raging around him. Back in the chamber, High Speaker Corin lifted her staff again. Enough. This council must deliberate. Tomorrow we will vote. Until then, the Terran fleet is confined to its current orbit. No movement beyond designated coordinates. Chun inclined his head in silent acknowledgement. Stroud, watching from above, noted the shift in posture among the delegates. Half relief, half suspicion. Varix smirked as he took his seat. To him, the delay was not defeat. It was time to sharpen his campaign. Later, within the secured chambers of the human delegation, Stroud, Chun, and Ortega gathered around a circular table. The lights were dim, their voices hushed despite the privacy. Chun rubbed his temple, fatigue bleeding through his composure. They'll fracture before consensus. Some want us gone, some want us contained, some want us allied. But tomorrow's vote, it won't be in our favor. Stroud leaned forward, her eyes hard. Then we prepare for both outcomes. If they vote containment, we accept for now. If they vote expulsion or force, the fleet must be ready. Ortega scowled. And if they splinter, what then? Half the council wanting us destroyed, half wanting us spared. It won't hold. Which is why, Chin said carefully, we must offer more than fear. We must offer necessity. Remind them the Dominion lurks beyond their borders. Without us, they stand exposed. Stroud nodded slowly. Fear is their language. But necessity, that may be the only currency that buys us time. Far across the station, in a private suite draped in shadows, Varix met with envoys from sympathetic factions. His claws tapped rhythmically against a datapad as he studied fleet strength reports. They will waver, he hissed. Some will vote for caution. Some for alliance. Fools. They forget that empires fall not from battles lost, but from threats tolerated. If the council hesitates, I will not. One envoy shifted uneasily. But High Speaker Corn has not sanctioned action outside the council. To move unilaterally. Varix cut him off with a cold glare. The law bends the power. If humanity is permitted to anchor such a fleet, others will follow. The balance will collapse. I will not let the galaxy be remade by Terran hands. His words carried conviction, and though some envoys hesitated, others bowed in agreement. Seeds of conspiracy took root. That night, Stroud stood alone in the viewport of the Vigilant. The stars stretched endless, the fleet holding silent formation. Beyond the glass, the void seemed almost serene, belying the storm of politics raging around them. Chen's voice broke the silence as he joined her. Tomorrow decides more than policy. It decides whether the galaxy sees us as shield or sword. Stroud's reflection in the glass was steady, unflinching. Then let them see both. A shield unbreakable. A sword only drawn if they force our hand. The Admiral and the Ambassador stood side by side, staring into the endless dark. In that silence, both knew the Council's vote would not end the struggle. It would only decide where it began. The Council chamber was packed, every seat occupied, every eye fixed on the central dais. The air hummed with restrained tension, as though the vast station itself strained to hear the verdict. Above, banners of every world shimmered in muted tones, their colors dulled by the gravity of the day. High Speaker Corin raised her staff, her voice resonant. The motion stands, recognition of Terran sovereignty and limited alliance, opposed by the call for containment. Today, the Council decides. Whispers rippled through the chamber, some hushed prayers, others sharp barbs exchanged under breath. The delegation from Earth sat silent. Ambassador Chen's hands were folded neatly before him, his expression carved from calm resolve. Admiral Stroud, watching from the observation tier, betrayed no flicker of emotion, though her jaw was set tight. Counselor Varix rose first, looming over the assembly, voice cold as steel. Before you cast your votes, remember what you have witnessed. A fleet hidden from your sight, a weapon forged in shadows. Do you grant them legitimacy? Do you let wolves sit among your flock? Vote containment, or invite conquest into your homes. His words landed heavily, but not without resistance. Counselor Zera of the Lyric Union stood, her presence unyielding. Fear blinds you. These humans revealed their fleet not with violence, but with restraint. They offer strength against the Dominion, not chains around our throats. Containment weakens us all. Recognition binds us stronger. The chamber split, voices rising, some in agreement, others in fury. Corin raised her staff again, restoring silence. The roll begins. Cast your votes. One by one, names were called, banners pulsed faintly with recognition or containment. Each vote shifted the balance like a pendulum. Tension coiled tighter with every tally. From the Saurian states, recognition. From the Track Combine, containment. From the Lyric Union, recognition. From the Vena Accord, abstain. The room stirred at the abstention. Hesitation at a crucial hour. Halfway through, Chen allowed himself a single breath. The votes leaned in humanity's favor, recognition edging ahead. Stroud's gaze locked on the tally. Her fingers curled against the railing. Then came the Zorn Dominion's frontier allies, containment. The tide shifted back. The chamber buzzed louder, the margin narrowing. Corin's expression tightened as the final names were called. When the last banner pulsed, the result hung suspended, recognition ahead by 2. Gasps filled the chamber. The Council had chosen legitimacy. Humanity was sovereign, an ally. But before relief could take root, Varix's voice slashed through the uproar. This vote is folly. He surged forward, claws glinting in the light. You hand the galaxy to predators. You doom us all. Corin's staff struck the dais, her voice sharp. The Council has spoken. The vote is binding. Humanity is recognized. For a heartbeat, silence reigned. Then the chamber erupted, cheers, protests, overlapping cries. Chen remained seated, his calm unbroken, though Stroud saw the faintest exhale escape him. Yet in the chaos, Stroud noticed movement along the outer rim of the chamber. Delegates aligned with Varix shifted subtly, their aides exchanging coded gestures. A cold weight settled in her chest. This wasn't over. Moments later, alarms blared through the station. Harsh tones reverberated through the walls, drowning conversation. The chamber's banners flickered, replaced by crimson warnings. Unauthorized fleet movement detected. Stroud snapped into motion, activating her wrist comm. "Bridge, report." The reply crackled with urgency. "Admiral, multiple ships breaking orbit. Counselor Varix's faction. They're moving toward our perimeter." Her pulse hardened. This was no accident. It was a coup masked as dissent. Chun rose now, his voice cutting through the panic. "High Speaker, humanity did not provoke this. Do not mistake their treachery for our intent." Varix's snarl echoed over the alarms. "Do not listen. They move even now. Humans seize this moment to tighten their stranglehold. Strike before their fleet overwhelms us." His words were a poison, feeding chaos. Some delegates shouted for calm, others for defense. Guards poured into the chamber, weapons ready but aimed at no one. Stroud spoke low into her comm, her eyes never leaving the chamber below. "Signal the fleet. Hold position. Do not fire unless fired upon." "Understood, Admiral. But Varix's ships are arming weapons." Her jaw clenched. The trap had sprung. The chamber itself descended into pandemonium. Counselors argued openly, voices cracking with fear. Corin slammed her staff down, but the authority of her voice faltered against the roar. Chin stepped into the center, refusing to be drowned out. "Listen. Look past the noise. Humanity has not moved. Our fleet remains still. This is the proof you demanded. See who truly seeks war." For a moment, the chamber wavered. Eyes turned to the massive hollow displays flickering overhead. The images told truth. The Terran fleet held formation, unmoving, disciplined. By contrast, Varix's faction surged forward, weapons arming. Zara seized the moment, voice carrying above the din there. "You see the betrayal. Humanity does not reach for conquest. Varix does. The Council must act, or the chamber itself becomes its theater of war." Above, Stroud's eyes flickered between the tactical overlays feeding into her visor. Her ships were locked in standoff, facing down Varix's advancing flotilla. Ortega's voice buzzed through. "They're baiting us, Admiral. If we fire first, we're the aggressors. If we hold too long, they'll strike anyway." Stroud's reply was sharp. "Then we force them to reveal themselves. Shields up, weapons live, but cold. If they fire, they damn themselves." Back in the chamber, Corin rose, her staff trembling in her hands. "Counselors, you see the truth. Varix defies this council, twists this chamber into a weapon. Guards, remove him from the floor." But Varix did not yield. He roared, his voice carrying venom. "Weakness. You will not bind me with decrees while wolves sharpen their fangs. If you will not act, I will." And in orbit, his ships fired. The station shuddered as the first salvo erupted. Plasma streaks cutting across the void, aimed not at the Terran fleet, but near their perimeter, calculated to draw a response. Stroud's command cut across channels. "Hold fire. Shields absorb. Do not break formation." Explosions blossomed harmlessly against Terran shields, yet the restraint held. Undeniable proof of who struck first. In the chamber, gas erupted as the hollow displays magnified the scene. Zara's voice rang like a blade. "There! The aggressor unmasked. Humanity stands still. The betrayer is before you." Corin's staff struck once more, her voice resurgent. "Council Guard sees Varix. His authority ends now." Chaos surged as guards closed in. Varix fought, his claws flashing, but sheer numbers dragged him down. His supporters shouted, some fleeing, others subdued. Above, Stroud finally gave the order. "Terran fleet, return fire, targeted strikes only. Disable, don't destroy." Beams lanced across the void, precise and devastating. Varix's ships faltered, shields collapsing under disciplined fire. Within minutes, the attempted coup crumbled. In the chamber, silence fell as a hollow feed showed Varix's flotilla crippled, drifting, surrender force upon them. Guards dragged the council from the floor, his roars fading into E.